Hey traders, Nick Shaheen here looking at Square. Okay, so today it had a bad day on a really good day for the market. So it's like a double whammy. Everybody's rallying and it took a dump of 5%. It looks like a disaster. And if you're long it, you're feeling like it's the end of the world, especially if you bought it on Friday because everybody was saying, buy, 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 you got to buy everything. And then today somebody downgraded to sell, I think. So first of all, who the hell listens to these people? But there we are. Second of all, I can help with levels. So the short term, this is a 15-minute chart, meaning every candle is 15 minutes, shows that it's falling back into a pivot zone. So if I didn't panic out of it, it should see some short-term support. Short-term support. That doesn't stand to higher time frames. So we'll get there. So one piece at a time. I did catch the tail end of the show on CNBC. They were saying you've got to buy the dip. Well, before you do, I don't disagree. Before you do, they don't define the time frame, at least not the bit I caught. They say buy the dip, any dip. What do you mean by the dip? 5%? Is that a big enough dip? In this case, I don't think so. So let's put some perspective into it. I'm not shorting the stock. I don't have any trades on it. I love Visa and MasterCard. I was long until recently with American Express. Book to profit. So I'm a proponent of this group. They're expensive, at least Visa and MasterCard are. This one I haven't checked. But they do deliver the goods because they are the waves. If everybody wants to do everything transactions electronic, that's them. I would prefer Visa and MasterCard because if this guy's rallying, so are they. If this guy's falling, maybe they're falling, maybe they're not. You know what I mean? This doesn't drive the other two. Let me see on today. Today is Monday, so this one was down. No, it was up 4%. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Eyes are going gaga. Okay, so Visa, MasterCard are up 4%. They just made my point. Square down 5 was PayPal. Oof. Okay, PayPal looks terrible, but it's not that big a deal. Down, flattish. So it's a Square story on a headline. And it didn't infect the other two. That's why I like the other two. They're expensive, but for a good reason. They've been crankers. All right, so what about Square? Is this time to get out? It all depends on, first of all, when did I get in and why? If I got in for the super long term, hell no. If I'm looking to buy the dip, well, let's get some perspective. This is the short-term dip, yes. At least it's not time to panic out. However, technically, this looks like a neckline that if it gives way, they're going to come back to this little consolidation zone here, which was down here. So let's zoom out a little bit to 30-minute charts. So now I'm starting to see some lines that I drew before that tell me that it overshot the mark, per my opinion. So this was the pivot. If lost, they'll come back to this pivot. If lost, they'll come back to this area, which is the neckline from which they broke out. So I'm going to go to a 60-minute chart and then reset it in the middle. Okay, so for a long while, well, relatively speaking on this time frame, they spent a lot of time ping-ponging, and I said, well, there's a mini limit here. I'm going to take it out. No more needed. And look at this candle. Look how well this candle drew the neckline from which they broke out, right there on 64.90. That was like one poke, and then they gave it back, and they spent days and days and days, and then they decided, whoop, no, whoop, they went, look, to the penny. This right there, not a coincidence right there, to the penny. So coming back to that neckline is totally normal. So if I went long here, that's not where I get out. If I book the profits, that's fine if I'm trading. But if I'm investing, dipping to the neckline and finding footing and going up again, that's totally fine. Let's go up one bit, 120. So now we're getting to see a little more action. Why did they fade here? Downgrade or no downgrade, it was headed into a prior failure point. So watch this. You've heard of inverse head and shoulders, right? How do they develop? You burst into a wall, you fade. You burst into it again, you fail more. You take your time, you come back to it, you hit it again, you fail. You hit it again, you break out. You've got an inverse head and shoulders. That's how they break out. Whatever you want to call it, it's a prior failure point. In fact, I'm going to put a trigger right here to come wake me up when this happens, if this happens, when this happens, and I'll be a buyer of it for a long rally. So let's go to 240. So now you're seeing it. Is this an all-time high? No. Okay, so now we're going to 4-hour candles. Same white lines I just showed you. Falling back to prior pivot points is totally normal, and this one looks natural right there. So if it falls to 70, 71, I'm not panicking out. Depends on where I entered and why. However, not expecting a dip is insane because it rallied 150% from crash to here. And if you eyeball this, let's not eyeball. You've heard of this Feller, Fibonacci dude. 50% of the rally is here, 61, basically 50% is here from the bottom, very bottom, to this extension. Actually, I shouldn't do that. Okay, yeah, I meant to do that. I was going to see this one here. So watch this. This extension from here. Look, the 50%, they fell, they rallied 50%, spent some time consolidating. Okay, we're comfortable, let's get out. Okay, so now the extension is from here to here. I'm not an expert at Fibonacci, but that's how it's done me right. Look, the green line is the 50%. It fits visually with the level change. Boom, 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 and then over it, footing, gone. See that right there? The green line. Resistance, 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 and then broke out, support, tested it 3 times, it went, little test here, went. So every ledge is a test. So when do I bail? I don't unless my thesis changed. Buy the dip. Is that a big enough dip to buy? Doesn't look like it. But from a level perspective, okay, look what happened last time they dipped to that from a high. Did you buy the dip here? No. Did you buy the dip here? If you did, look what you grabbed. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen because that's COVID. I'm saying this is not a big enough dip. This is a good collection of candles right there. These bunch right here. It's pretty interesting. I'll highlight them. It's more interesting down here. So if I wanted to do that, that's a collection that's interesting. And it matches up with this level. So inside here is a better dip than Monday, minus 5%, 4.5% on a sell downgrade. So 3 or 4 pokes up here rejected and now become the trigger. So if it falls to here and comes back, now it becomes more like a neckline that's ready to break. It's not a perfect inverse head and shoulders. I verbalize it that way to tell you how they attack a neckline until they breaks. They're attacking it from higher lows. So if you believe in trend lines, which I don't, not that I don't believe in them, I don't like to trade them. I'd rather trade the level versus the neckline, and there's a difference. Okay, so a dip towards the neckline is still fine. They touch it, and haven't come close to it. How close are they going to come this time? Okay, so maybe they meander a little bit. Time passes and this line meets this neckline and then they dip a little bit more. So there's no rush is what I'm saying to catch this falling knife, and we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. So what about the other guys? I wanted to point out PayPal. I missed it. I wanted to play long the earnings. Somehow my fill didn't happen, so I missed it. And now it's inside this little cluster up here. Is it time to go long? No way on the planet is it time to go long for my taste. I'd rather it at least fall to whatever that bottom neckline here is, if not somewhere in here. I mean, how often do these gaps hold? I've seen them hold before, like Baba did it years ago, where the market completely repriced it. It's like, wait, we were completely wrong. Boom, let's go to a different level, never look back. They did that. So what are the odds they do that with PayPal? Is that an all-time high? Yes. Reset. So that's PayPal all-time high. Definitely not a place to go long. Where do I go long at 120? What? Yeah, I'd rather miss all of it. I missed it. Not I'd rather miss it. I missed it. But this is the best zone. Anywhere near here. Let's put it this way. Now the video morphed into PayPal and Square. So back to Square. To answer the question, is it a buy the dip moment? Maybe. It all depends on your intentions. So this was the dip top that I just put a line, say wake me up when they go above that. You can see the stomach of this consolidation period. That's pretty long term. for this stock. You know, this is a monthly chart. Every candle is 1 month. It's a fairly new equity. I pay attention to this line down here. I pay attention to that line. So in fact, I will do this. I'll put here buy the dip. How's that? Yeah, that's a big buy the dip. Like if for whatever reason we ever go down, I mistyped it anyway. If we go down here for whatever reason, I would sell puts and put spreads on a bad day. This is definitely a better place to buy the dip. Not this dip. I'm talking the eventual market crash dip. We might get one. So time frames, I'm showing you time frames. Reset. This is a 15-minute time frame that we started from. So this looks like a big dip. To me, it gives more information as to where to fade. I would fade this attempt to, or pay attention to fade question mark, a bounce towards, back towards the last fail point, which was 78.50, let's say. What's going to happen if they get there? So let's say they find footing here because of the point of control. So the volume says, okay, this is the point where they fought over the harshest, so it might provide some support. If they bounce, what will happen here? What will happen here? Here. These are all pivot points. In fact, this is another fade question. Well, that's going to keep me busy with the beeps tomorrow. Okay, so look left from this last line I just put. I don't know. They stick out to me. They mean something. All right, so this way, not like I would chase. I would see if they were going to fade. They might come to it and fade. Or they might come to it and fade a little bit and come back and hit that and fade. Hit this and come back out to get up. So it gives me a path intraday. This is 15 minutes. So if somebody is really fast trading throughout the day, they can find opportunities shorter term. That's a 5-minute chart. It may give more clues. Like, I don't know if I noticed this before here. So 75.30, 75.20 is a good buy to dip place because that was an emphatic bounce. Same with this, same with that. And here they are fighting over that right there. So this zone should be a rubber band saying, what? And then let's attack this one, fade, attack this one, same two lines as before. All right, next signing up. Later, bye. I don't know if I mentioned it. In the description, we do this all day in the chat room. Hook yourself up.